Let me kind of quickly talk about computing and how we've been interfacing with computing over the last 40 years. It's primarily been through voice. No, we have not been doing that with voice. We've been primarily doing that with our touch and our sensory, what we see. Right from the time when we were using the mouse to anything to do with the remote. And the question that we get asked often is that the most natural way to be interacting with computers? This is not a question that has come about now. It's been there for a long time. And the reason behind that question is always the fact when we talk about engaging with people, we engage using all of our sensory powers that we have. It's all the actuators. When I'm talking to you and you hear my voice, it's also the muscles in my face that are communicating. It's also my hand gestures that are part of that communication. So when we use all of that for engaging with one another, why do we constrain ourselves when we are interacting with computers? And do we need to do that? So that's the big question. And part of it lies in the fact that in the 40 years that we have been using computers, we have trained ourselves to be using the button. More than 100,000 years of experience with humans has been all around through voice. When a kid is born, they interact through voice. They don't touch and press buttons to tell you what they want, right? And how do we untrain? And what happens if it's a voice-first era and we have those capabilities with us? So let's take a look at how our interactions with computing have kind of changed over the last 30, 40 years. We started out with character mode. This is when you would get characters on the screen. That's how you would only interact with. And there was a revolutionary shift when we went into the world of GUI, or graphical user interface. It was a new business model. People had to be very inventive. There were companies that were born. You spoke or you heard from Sundar in Adobe. Adobe was one of the companies that revolutionized this space. And the only reason why it came into existence was because it leapfrogged when we went from character mode to graphical user interface. Another 10 years forward and we hit the web. Then there were companies like AOL, Yahoo, that kind of started that innovation, and that's kind of where the web and the internet kind of took on. Another 10 years fast forward and you came into the world of mobile, where now there's Instagram and Facebook. And now if you try and look at the cusp at where we are standing, the next revolution is around voice, or the most natural way that humans know how to interact, which is a voice user interface. And there's a quote that kind of stuck with me: the age of touch could soon come to an end. If someone had said this a couple of years ago, we would have just laughed it off. If someone had said that people will only be using touch 15 years ago, we would have laughed it off. How many people grew up going to a library? How many people visited a library in the last 12 months? All right, good. I'm glad some people still raised their hand. Most of us didn't or don't anymore, right? The information or the power is in your hand all the time. And so when you look at voice user interface, when our kids start interacting with machines or computers through voice, they may look back at us and laugh. Really? You used to take out a phone, used to then hit some buttons, used to type stuff onto it. Just like we laugh at our parents for listening to the radio or trying to send a telegram or something like that, right? Those concepts cannot even exist. How many people remember listening to music on a cassette tape? You know, there was a recent experiment. People were given a cassette tape. They kept listening to the same side. They didn't know that you had to turn it the other way around. That's kind of how, you know, we have evolved and we have kind of come to terms with how technology has trained or untrained us. When we talk about voice, voice is really powerful. And how powerful is it, or is it just a gimmick? A report says that by 2021, you will have 1.8 billion customers who would have interacted with a voice assistant. These 1.8 billion customers, when they're interacting with a voice assistant, are going to have a conversational interaction. And those conversation interactions are then going to lead to connected homes, and that's going to revolve around a revenue stream around digital assistance. And as we think about this business model, it's very intuitive, it's very logical, because more and more customers will be easily able to access voice. And the word here is easy and convenience. And this is something that it's not just Amazon that's figured it out. If you take a look at most of the technology behemoths today, whether it's Apple with Siri, there's Google with Google Assistant, there's Microsoft with Cortana, there's Samsung with S-Voice, there's Amazon with Alexa, all of them understand the limitations of the graphical user interface and what power the voice can hold for it. And you'll hear from me talk about how Amazon is at the foray of kind of leading this revolution as well. So the topic for this session was more around thriving in the age of disruption and what could cause the next major disruption in computing. And the reason we said voice is because it's intuitive. Why is it intuitive? Well, you don't have to train someone. We know how to interact with each other through voice. You don't need to learn a set of menus. What is the drop down? Which button do I click? Which selection do I need to do? You don't need to do that. With voice, it's very intuitive. Second, it's very inclusive. So we had a very nice conversation yesterday where speakers were talking about Bharat and India. Voice is very inclusive. It can cut through the language barrier. It can actually cut through technology barriers. It can cut through education. You don't need to be literate to be able to talk and communicate with each other in voice. You don't need to know how to read and write. And imagine that power that voice holds in a country like India. Intelligent, yes, because it's dynamic learning. It's machine learning algorithms. There is stuff in the cloud that's constantly learning. It's constantly getting better over time. And then it's insightful because it's contextual. It's giving you a message that you care about at a time when it's important to you. And these four things is what makes voice a major disrupting force in how we deal with technology in the years to come. It all started with a vision. How many people can tell me where is this from? Star Trek? Yeah? And so let's take a look at this video and see if we can laugh it off, or is it call it sci-fi right now? I'm going to see if I can play the video.
Could you help me find Commander Data? I understand he's somewhere on this deck.
This way, sir. You must be new to these Galaxy-class starships, sir. Tell me the location of Commander Data.
Lieutenant Commander Data, now located in holodeck area 4J.
And as you can see, sir, it's pointing you that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
The next hatchway on your right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Commander Riker. And if you care to enter, Commander.
I do.
All right. I don't know if many of you remember this. I remember seeing this very clearly as a kid and being completely awed by it. Would my kid be awed by this today? Not really, because they know some of these elements are already there. You can talk to a computer or a supercomputer. Your door can actually get unlocked. Things can happen which are in this realm. Imagine how far we have come in the last 20, 30 years. And this was one of the inspirations when Amazon invested in voice. For this to happen, you need multiple things in technology to fall in place. You need infinite compute, which is AWS, or what we saw happening 5 years ago with Amazon Web Services, because with that compute, you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of calculations. We were also at the cusp where we were seeing as a company what machine learning can do. And so when you put together machine learning, infinite compute, and a natural interface like voice, that's where Alexa was born. So Alexa is kind of your smart assistant, which is the brain. It resides in the cloud, and then there are multiple devices through which you can interact with it. So let me talk to you about voice is easy to access. That's primarily because with Alexa, you could be interacting with a multitude of devices. They could be the Echo family of devices that you see on this side. It could be your mobile phone. It could be third-party devices. They don't have to be Amazon devices. You could have U-Fi Genies, Harman Kardon, Sonos, or any other brand or any other device that could be an Alexa endpoint, right? Your TVs could be an Alexa endpoint as well, where you can then be talking to this smart assistant through any kind of device that you have. How does Alexa work? So there's a user, he's kind of talking and saying, what's the time? It hits the device, the signal kind of goes through the internet, it hits a cloud. You have a variety of services in the cloud, whether it's Wikipedia, weather services, time services, it could be your own. Each of your companies could have your own endpoint or service that is feeding that information back in and then being delivered to the customer, all in the span of milliseconds. Right? So from the time I say, what's the time? You take the sound, we understand what did you say? You said, what is the time? We then kind of do the natural language understanding. So from speech recognition, you go to natural language understanding, or you want the time. Where do you want the time for? Where are you? What's your geographical presence? Do you want the time for Seattle, Jaipur, Bangalore? That hits the cloud, you get the time resolved, and then the voice is played back to you through text to speech, right? Fairly simple. But then when you look at devices, it's actually not that easy. So there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of creativity which went into making a device which will make the interaction very convenient for you. It's very different if you take out your phone, press a button, put your mouth right next to the button and talk to it. That doesn't take a lot of technology. Why? Because you have already given the intent by pressing the button. You're actually putting your mouth next to the phone, right? That doesn't involve all the complexities of language modeling, acoustic modeling, and so on. And you need to have the phone with you all the time. What is the use of voice if you need to carry a gadget with you all the time, right? So when we thought about Alexa, or why would it be convenient, the device could be sitting anywhere over here. I should be able to just use a word, similar to I would use a word to speak to you. You know, I'll say Archana, right? Or Alexa, and then Alexa would wake up or be listening to you and then be able to understand what are you saying to that. I should be able to do that by walking without any gadgets in my hand. That was a requirement, right? So we built something called far field technology, where you could be away from the device, it will still understand, it will cut all the noise and be able to know what do you want to do with it. So there's a lot of hardware innovation that went into it. I'll not go into the details, but there's far field voice technology, there's room filling sound, and a lot of innovation that's happening in natural language understanding. You may be wondering, what has this got to do with brands? I'll come to that because the context is really important for you to know why customers will find it convenient to then kind of say, how can brands leverage that? So the cloud-based intelligence can be used for multiple things. It can be used for shopping. It can be used for news and information, for music. To be able to just listen to a song, Dil Dhadakne Do, and I like my part which comes after a minute, to be able to say forward 60 seconds. That's convenience. I could not do that earlier, right? Then timers and alarms, smart home controls, right? We are in an age where we want to save water, we want to be efficient with electricity. How can we do that, right? All of these solutions are what will be enabled through voice interactions. Alexa is always getting smarter because it's in the cloud. It doesn't need a hardware update. It doesn't need a software update, right? Because the device with which you're interacting is only a channel or a medium. So every day, based on what you are doing or what you're not doing or what others are doing, what developers are creating, what you are creating for your own companies as brands, that intelligence is being added every second in the back end for you as a consumer. There's a lot of deep learning, there are neural networks, a lot of machine learning algorithms, and a lot of cutting edge technology behind the scenes that's empowering that or enabling that for the consumer. All right. One of the things that is very, very unique, we speak about unique experiences and differentiators. This vision, how you go about the vision is what separates one company for the other. And I heard yesterday, you know, when you had, I think it was Avinash from Patanjali, who was talking about the divide between Bharat and India is not between the haves and the have-nots. It comes down to English versus Indic. It comes down to language. It comes down to communication and how we communicate. Voice has got the capability to bridge that gap, right? And the way you go about doing it is you don't do it alone, but you build the infrastructure so that everybody can jump on the bandwagon and build experiences for themselves. We call that skills, right? So you don't have to wait for only Amazon to innovate, but anything that we're doing in the field of voice, we have opened up that entire architecture. We call skills, which are equivalent to apps, where any company, any developer, big or small, can create their custom experiences using these skills and using the voice. We have more than 50,000 skills globally. You can see some of the brands out here, and the number keeps increasing. When we launched in India, which is less than a year ago, we launched with 18,000 skills. You can see some names. There are Urban Club, Zomato, Jet Airways, even Byju's, or TED. And then what you can realize is these companies are already jumping onto this bandwagon. They are creating experiences for their customers that will be relating to the brand, the messaging, and the communication that they want to give. To give you some context, when we launched in US about 3.5, 4 years ago, does anyone want to guess how many skills we launched with? Any guess? 10,000, okay. Sorry? 10, okay, that's a wide range between 10,000 and 10. Actually, you're closer, it was only 20 skills, right? Because skills used to be very difficult to make. Someone had to create them. There was a single bottleneck for it. But then when we opened up the platform, what we have done is we have democratized it. Anybody can use it, anybody can build that experience. And I'll talk about what is different in building a skill experience on voice versus what you're used to doing in a graphical user interface world. Hailing a cab. The modern way, you locate your phone, you unlock your phone, locate and open the app, whether it's Grab. So I lived in Singapore, I use Grab Taxi a lot, Uber, Ola. Enter the drop location, choose the mode of transportation, confirm the pickup, put away your phone. Is there any faster way of doing this? There is. Alexa, ask Uber to book a cab to work. As simple as that. Alexa would know you need Uber. So Uber has created a skill. They know what work and home is because those are your favorite destinations. And they could also know what kind of cab you want and what choices to get for you. The convenience, right? Turn off the lights. The old way is get up and walk. You turn off the lights. Today, people in India, less so. In US and Europe, a lot more people have smart homes. They can open their phone. They can, control which light they want. They'll check it, hit multiple clicks. And then in the Alexa world, you can just say, turn off the bedroom light. It's as simple as that. Evolution of buying. We went from retail, brick and mortar. That's traditionally how we went to a place, we bought things, to web. I don't need to talk much about web and what Amazon did in that space or what other companies are doing to revolutionize that. To mobile, even in Amazon, we see a huge amount of traffic and purchases that are now happening only through your mobile phone, not through desktops, right? India completely leapfrogged that. And then through voice. So since we have launched voice, we see people, how they are interacting with it. On Alexa, people can just say, Alexa, buy haldi. It's as simple as that. Or people spoke about, I loved the presentation from Nykaa as well, where they were talking about early adopters, the power of getting repeat customers. Patanjali, Avinash, I think, spoke about that as well. With Alexa, your reorder is so easy. You don't need to make a choice. If I need to say reorder my toothpaste, or I have in my order history what brand I used. What size toothpaste did I order last time? It just reorders it. Reorder the diapers. You don't need to go take out your phone, do anything around it. That's where the convenience comes through voice. Alexa, add a bottle of Pepsi to my cart. Simple response, yes, a bottle of Pepsi has been added to your cart. Right? As simple as that. While you're doing other things, you don't need any device, you don't need to be touching anything. Right? And in order to do it, the essence of a brand, or what's the essence of a brand in a voice-centric world? In the past, you may not be having a direct communication with the customer, but your brand now has a voice in the digital world for the first time. And you have a lot of choices because you need to say, how often are you talking to your customer? Do you have a voice-based conversation? Was that only confined to an email or a call center earlier? What does your customer really want? What is their expectation from you? And those conversational experiences is what you will now have to build for, right? So let's just talk about it. what does your brand sound like? Now you need to make a choice. Should it be a male voice or a female voice? You didn't have to do that earlier, right? Should it be, what kind of personality should that voice have? Should it be very yippy, cheerful, or should it be very more, little more reserved? You'll have to make those choices, right? What tone are you using? What does your brand stand for? What is the authenticity? Why would a customer connect with that, right? What will be the personalization for it? I love the experience or the example given yesterday. I think it was for a coffee place called Dutch Brothers, where you were talking about the interaction starts with what people in that place are talking to you. Or the airlines, it's your crew, how friendly they are and what they say. Well, with voice, you have the same challenge and the same opportunity with you, right? With eyes, we expect uniformity. When I go from one app to the other app, I expect the same menu because I want it to be in the same way. That's how I've trained myself to click. Whether it's a hamburger menu, a drop-down list, add to cart, we've kind of trained ourselves to hit the OK button. I don't think we even read. We're just waiting, where is the OK button, right? Let me just hit that. Whereas with voice, you will now have to build experiences for the ears. How would people want to hear that, right? Do you want to say yes? Do you want to say sure? Do you want to say okay? Aha, right? All of that will make a difference to how the customer perceives you as a brand and as a company. So how to get started? First, you define by asking what are the right questions for you. And the right questions could be, what does the customer want? What is their expectation from you? What kind of engagement do they want you to have? And then if you look at a day in the life, and that will vary from customer to customer and the kind of domain or the segment that you might be in. But if I just take a look at my home, I may start the day in the morning rushing for work, but I just want to know what's the trending news. I can just ask Alexa or any smart assistant, tell me the news from Times Now or Aaj Tak or whatever I want to read. Dainik Jagran, right? Book a cab, take me to my office. I use Uber. Switch off the lights when I leave. Alexa can help you do that, or the assistant can help you do that if you have Philips or any other thing. In the afternoon, the kids are back from school. So they may want to watch Choo Choo TV, they may want to listen to some nursery rhymes. They'll order pizza or any other food that they want. You have an older kid, they may want to watch a TED video, they interact through that. And then it's time to do some homework. You go to Byju's, you kind of do that. It's evening time, looking for recipes to cook, open Sanjeev Kapoor, some meditation time with Sadhguru, any other skill that you have. Look at ESPN, what's happening in cricket, what was the day one score, how did India do, etc. And then you listen to music. And all these experiences will happen through multiple brands through voice. At the time when you want. It's not going to be a push where I go in my laptop and suddenly ads are coming to me, right? I'm just walking around my house and saying, what's the score? How much did Virat Kohli score? Oh, India didn't bat today. They bowled England out, right? And so those interactions will keep happening with you as you're on the move. Then you need to deploy. You need to think about the design of your skill. How do you use the best practices for voice? You cannot use the same standards and the same things that you were used in a graphical user world for voice designing your skill. You'll have to make some changes to it. You'll have to make some adaptations to it. Modes of engagement could vary around flash briefing. So remember we said, one of the most core groups to you is the early adopters, the brand loyalists. These are the ones who would want to know what's new with your brand. It could be what's the news, what's the update. The update need not be a news update. It could be of what you have launched. What are the new things that are in your selection? What's the new feature? What's the new deal that you have for them, right? And you can create those experiences as part of flash briefing. If you're looking at custom skills or service delivery, find restaurants. What's the flight timings? Many of us are going to take a flight in the evening. Why do I need to go to my laptop, do something else, pick out my phone? God forsake, if my phone dies, I'm in deep trouble, right? But you don't need to kind of be stuck to that. Timings for restaurants and so on. So various skills, Zomato, Goa, Bebo, and so on. Custom skills for fulfillment, order a cab, buy me something, order food, play music, whether it's Ola, Savan, Amazon Music, Fresh Menu. Again, you'll see in many of the examples, I don't quote any of the Amazon services. because the customer should have the choice of choosing whether they want to watch something on instant video or Netflix, whether they want to listen to music on Amazon Music or Hungama or Savan. We let them make the choice for it, right? And that's what I call by democratizing voice. How many of you knew Netflix works on Amazon? So the entire infrastructure of Netflix is actually on Amazon Web Services. You talk about trust, right? Just imagine, Amazon Instant Video is Netflix's biggest competitor, and then yet they end up using our AWS or our cloud storage. That's the level of trust they have that we keep the businesses separate, right? Going back to voice, custom skills. We spoke about, quite a few people have experts on insurance over here. There's a lot of misinformation or not knowing things. You can just ask, what's my loan limit? What are the top 3 things that people were surprised to find out about loans and insurance and floods? You can get intelligence to what you want without having to curate and have it pushed to you. Status of my policy, raise a call, ask someone to call me back. You can do all of that now. Custom skills, health tips. Zyrtec, which is a big brand, they can come up with health tips. They want to proactively tell the customers it's an allergy alert. The pollution level is high, be careful on what you're going out. Nutrition recipes, people are getting more and more health conscious. You can give that all through skills. Smart home, turn on the lights, control the temperature, switch on the TV. Why do I need to spend half my time searching for a remote? How many people have spent time searching for a remote? Kids will throw it somewhere behind the sofa. I should just be able to say, turn on the TV, increase the volume, put on the Arnab Goswami show. That's it. I don't need to know if it's coming on channel 315 or 319. That's so dumb that we need to keep track of it, right? We will go into that world very quickly. It's already happening today. And then you need to optimize. You need to listen to your users. You need to listen to the reaction and say, what are they demanding? Are they interacting? Are they not interacting? What kind of questions are they asking that I don't have an answer to? And you as a brand will have to keep iterating and customizing your experiences in the world of voice. Quick, you can take some highlights and inspiration. Byju's has created some fantastic experiences. Ola has got that as well. And we have helped do that. We have UX designers or voice experts who help tell you how should you cater to the kind of customers that you have and how do you build a seamless kind of experience for them. This is something I'll just kind of show various domains as we run out of time, is smart home. So we've met Embassy, which is a big builder in Bangalore. They were launching about 3,000 houses. And they say, we want people, the millennials that we're targeting, to think about modernization, to think about technology advancement, to talk about innovation and what would life be in a future forward way. We say it's very simple. Everything in your house, every electrical point in your house will be internet enabled. It'll be an IoT endpoint. And you will be able to control it through your voice. And so we took their model homes, everything in that house, every electrical point in that house is internet enabled. You can control it through your phone or through your voice with Alexa. We did it in less than 4 weeks because a lot of the innovation is already built out there. So when you extend this to homes, you can retrofit your homes, you can extend it to hospitality. How many people would, we've all come here from our houses staying in a hotel. What if you could just say, you don't have to fiddle with the lights to know which light to be turned on and off. Turn on the bathroom light, turn off the light. Turn on the fan, turn off the fan. Tell me, concierge, what can you do for me, right? You can do that without having to learn in a new environment. So that's smart home for you. You don't need to switch on your geyser. You don't need to get up 10 minutes early to switch on your geyser. When you set your alarm for 7 a.m., Alexa can automatically turn on your geyser 15 minutes early for you, right? That's the convenience that you have. Wellness, spirituality, big domains in India. How do you build experiences through that? Food ordering. This is where you get the impulse buying or the repeat orders or the loyalists. Very small video. We are talking about 6-second ads, right? Do you engage with the customer at the right time when they're hungry? You pick up a signal and through voice you're able to say, oh, here are some options for you. You don't want to wait 20 minutes, here are some 10-minute options for you. You can build that experience as well. This is one of my favorite. How many people remember reading Shikhari Shambhu? Right? Kids today are spending all their time looking at their videos and screen and I don't know, God knows what not on the screens, right? I have a 5-year-old and a 13-year-old. I would love for them to go back and read Indian mythology, just stories on what's happening. Well, Amar Chitrakatha build their own skills. You get that content. Parents love it. They're saying, oh, my kids are hearing all of these stories. They're interacting through voice. They're asking questions rather than just blindly staring on the screen, right? Those are the experiences that you can build as well. And then cricket, we launched skills with RCB, Royal Challengers Bangalore, as well as Calcutta Knight Riders, where they had their own players' voices. They had their schedules. You could book something over there. You could ask for where are the tickets available during the IPL, what's new, what's the stat, and you could have various interactions because they're going back to the fan base and building that out. You could just say something like, yaar score kya hai? That's it, right? And Alexa will understand and respond to that. I'm going to skip the video in the interest of time, but this is a conversation.
जब से IPL स्टार्ट हुई है, आपको पता है आपने कितने विकेट लिए हैं?
नहीं यार, कितने लिए?
अरे पीसी भाई, इतना तो पता रहता, सभी को पता।
अरे नहीं पता, मेरे को झूठ बोल के क्या मिल रहा है यार, नहीं पता।
Javon, I think he is lying.
Come on, PC boy, just tell us.
Seriously, I don't remember. Seriously.
I know someone who I think might know. Alexa, how many wickets did Puneesh Chawla take in the IPL?
Piyush Chawla has played 138 overall league matches, taking 134 wickets.
The piece that I wanted to convey is the guy, who said Piyush Chawla didn't even say Piyush Chawla correctly. He said it in his own broken way. But that's what you need to train, right? If you deal with Alexa, how many people have used Alexa? Oh my God, quite a few of you. That's awesome. You will also realize that people who used it 3 months ago versus used it 1 month ago, there'll be a lot of difference. Because like I said, it's getting better over time. Things that the device did not understand, when you asked for it 3 months ago, it's automatically learning and getting better. It's still not there as yet. We still call it day 1. It's in its infancy and it'll keep getting better over time as well. All right, so on this note, I wanted to just kind of go back a slide. As you look about voice, I gave it a name. I don't call it delicious. I called it voicicious circle, which is basically how do you interact with customers and how do you delight them. You need a good voice experience. You should have solved a problem for the customer. Only useful features. There's no point adopting technology for the sake of it. It has to solve something. It has to add a layer of convenience. It has to be personalized. What you give me has to be different than what you give to another customer. If it's blanket, the same thing for everyone, then you're not engaging at a deeper level with the customer. Can you recall the service? Is there brand recall and is there brand appreciation? Did I learn something new about it? And that's kind of how you want to build your experience or your skill on that. Give your brand a voice. This is going to be a hugely disruptive way of how we interact as compared to how we've been interacting with computers so far. We are at the cusp of $1 billion industry being created from scratch. So hopefully you found this useful.